Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining today's seminar of World Zakat Forum for Youth 2020. With me, Hafiza Elvira from Badan Amil Zakat Indonesia, Badan Amil Zakat Nasional in Indonesia or BAZNAS. We will discuss about the impact of COVID-19 and digital transformation of Zakat campaign. First of all, let me introduce my colleagues here. Mas Haryo Mojopahit from Dompet Dhuafa, Indonesia, and also Tuan Muhammad Faiz Hussin Shokri from Lembaga Zakat Negeri Kedah, Malaysia. Halo,
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam. Hi,
Yeah,
hello.
how are you today?
I'm good, very good.
Alhamdulillah, fine.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so this first ever webinar of World Zakat Forum for Youth, I'd like to a little bit explain what is this forum for. As you might know, that the World Zakat Forum is a forum of global zakat institutions where annually we hold conference and discussions regarding current issues on zakat management. Understanding that we also have youth Amil like us within zakat institutions, we want to embrace them through discussions and collaboration. And today we initiate the World Zakat Forum for Youth, and hopefully this initiative will bring more cooperation and dialogue between youth Amil in every zakat institution in the world. As the first step, we hold this webinar to attract more youth Amil, and also you, the participants of this webinar, who consider themselves or yourself as zakat enthusiasts. Without further ado, I'd like to ask my colleagues about the current issues, which is COVID-19. As we know, right now happen in every country in the world. In each country, maybe from Malaysia side, how about the impact of COVID-19 there right now, Tuan Faiz?
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. My colleague, Miss Elvira and Mr. Haryo, how are you today?
Alhamdulillah.
First of all, I would like to extend my greatest appreciation to World Zakat Youth Forum, which I think this is the new forum, for inviting me as one of the panel today, representing Lembaga Zakat Negeri Kedah in Malaysia. So for those who may not familiar yet with Malaysia, so as an introduction, we in Malaysia, we have 14 states, including the federal territories such as Kuala Lumpur and Labuan. So we have the state of Selangor, we have the state of Kelantan, we have the state of Kedah. So Kedah is one of the 14 states that we have in Malaysia. So when we talk about zakat, please be noted that in Malaysia, the matters relating to zakat are separately governed by different body in each state. So in the state of Kedah, for example, the matters relating to zakat is governed by Lembaga Zakat Negeri Kedah. And so the other states, they have their own governing body. So unlike like what Miss Elvira said, she is in BAZNAS. So the BAZNAS is the national body for the Indonesia in the matters relating zakat. So this is just a few introduction of my country. So going back to the question, what are the impact of COVID-19 in our country now? For your information, to date, the record has shown that Malaysia have reached 5,300 total infected cases, in which around 3,000 of them have been declared cured and have been discharged from the hospital. So the remaining cases of COVID in Malaysia, which is under supervision and under treatment, is only up to 2,000 cases with 89 deaths. So although it is not as worse as it seems as compared to United States or as in compared to Italy, for example, however, for us as a small country, this total number of cases should not be left insignificant. So this is very huge number for us in Malaysia. So that is why our government has announced what we call as Movement Control Order, MCO, since March 18, and have been extended twice since then. So the latest our PM has announced that the MCO will be extended until April 28. So by this MCO, it is, I would like to highlight that the MCO is not a lockdown order. Yes, the movement of the people are being restricted in Malaysia, but for the industries which have been categorized as the essential services, for example, like finance service, for example, like oil and gas services. So this is the essential services that have not been locked down by the government. So we, Zakat, in Malaysia, we also categorize ourselves as an essential service, because if we are not being operated, then those mustahik will not get the proper assistance. For example, like monthly allowance for mustahik. So Zakat also have to operate as one of the essential services in Malaysia. So this is one of the situation in Malaysia. So from my personal view, this MCO or movement control order that have been announced by our government is so far is the best solution initiated by actually I think some of our governments as to control this pandemic. Because at the same time, it is to control the pandemic, but at the same time, it also can what we call it as to avoid from economical panic by among our citizens. If the government announce lockdown immediately, so this will be a huge impact to the economy and a huge impact to the citizen as well. So this step of MCO, although we feel like we are being restricted, but this is actually the most suitable solution up to now. So this is one of the step that I think I personally believe that it will help us in combating this pandemic. And this is in addition to 250 billion stimulus package. For your information, our Malaysian government have announced 250 billion ringgit stimulus package in order to recirculate back the circle of the economy inside of the country. Because when the MCO have been announced, all the export and import trades have been stopped. So in order to encourage the circle of the economy inside of the Malaysia between the citizens, so the government have inject 250 billion ringgit stimulus package. So I see that this is have been a very good move by our government, inshallah. So this is what happened in Malaysia. Going back to Ms. Elvira.
Yes, thank you so much for give the information about the COVID-19 impact in Malaysia. As I know that there are also some regulations that right now the government decided to every country, and it has a differentiation between Indonesia and Malaysia, also maybe other countries. So now from Indonesian side, what about you, Mas Haryo?
Yeah, and I think in Indonesia we have like we do like mostly the same with our counterpart from Malaysia. So in Indonesia right now we have about 6,760 positive cases. It's almost 70,000 positive cases with 590 deaths. It's almost like 600 deaths, and also about like 750 people recovered from the disease. But the public believes that the case is more than that, because the government only decided a moderate lockdown called pembatasan sosial berskala besar, or that's like moderate lockdown. It's the same with Malaysia, I think, because stores are still open. In some sectors like banks, medical equipment, and we want that businesses are still operated, because we don't want like the people become panic. The same with Malaysia. On one side, we don't want our economy hit badly, but on the other side, that we should protect the people as well. However, the Indonesian government is thinking to make the lockdown to be more effective. So, and I think that a lot of people, maybe in Malaysia and other Southeast Asian countries, think Indonesia is a time bomb because that our healthcare system not detect how many population that infected with the virus. But we believe, I think that more people affected by the virus, and like the data that we have right now is only maybe about 2% of the whole people that infected by the virus. And I think that this is our task, our duty, to support the Indonesian government to, to make a lot of progress in testing the people. Because right now, the people that came to our hospital, like Dompet Dhuafa hospital, is become more and more. And I think that some of our hospital are not, are really surprised by the patient that come. And right now we are building, some, we call it like a container. That's like a temporary hospital, especially for, quarantine. And I think, situation in Indonesia and in Malaysia is almost the same.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's interesting to that there are a lot of changes made by the impact right in every country during the pandemic period. Now, Mas Haryo, what about your organization, Dompet Dhuafa? How Dompet Dhuafa face these changes? Maybe you have like a work from home or regulation or digitalization of the campaign. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, and I think most of the organization, not only in Indonesia, right now we are worried about the economic crisis that is coming, and also I think right now Dompet Dhuafa is look up to our budget because we see, like the economic slowdown in maybe in the next 1 or 2 months. And I think, right now, the Dhuafa are moving like from, we do not open like booths or on shopping malls. So right now we close all our booths in shopping malls, and we decided to move all the transaction by digital. We use like our digital fundraising approach to approach our donors. But I think not every organization have that privilege. So I think that it is better for like other organization. So you need to look up to your budget, how you can save your money so the organization can survive financially. And also in the fundraising, part. So you have to move your, fundraising effort to be a digital fundraising. But first of all, you need to look to your donors first, because maybe for some organization, because they have very small number of like millennial donors or young donors. So maybe like the donors are still, comfortable with, the conventional approach of fundraising. So maybe you have to come to their house, or they have to come to your office, or they want to do like a bank transfer, wire transfer. I think you need to look up to your donor database, and you have to make a segmentation on your donors. I think that's the fundraising part. And also for the programming part. So we have to build, some programs that really meet the needs of the communities during these pandemics. So like in the first phase of this pandemic, I think that Dompet Dhuafa and other Zakat organization, we support the government. We built like disinfection chambers for public places. Despite the controversial. Also, we distribute medical supplies, especially protectors for doctors, nurses, and other medical workers. And also we send foods to the poor community, especially in Jakarta. And right now, Dompet Dhuafa is preparing the community to do urban farming because we don't know, if like the government make the lockdown is very effective. So it's impossible to move like people from one community to other community. So we need to, to make food by ourselves, And right now, the Dhuafa is like supporting the community to make urban farming in their, in their villages or in their community. So I think that's the most important thing that we need to do during this pandemic.
Yeah, that's interesting that you also have the environment program on this campaign, right? So I think the same here in BAZNAS. We also implemented work from home regulations to the staff since March, and every meeting we held online, both internally and also externally with our partners. Like 90% of our Amil is working from home, while 10% still has to go to office. And well, we also postpone some agendas, as you know, like press conferences, like we usually hold it in our office. We invite medias. Right now, we cannot do that. And also the National Zakat Coordination Meeting, the annually event, we also postpone it and so on. So we are now forced to do it at the end. I mean that we have to go online at all. For the distribution program, also in BAZNAS team, we managed to deliver a specific program related to COVID-19 handling. Like for example, the preventive action, we educate people about healthy lifestyle, a good hand washing technique, also spray disinfectant to some public transportations, and provide washing stand in some rail stations. In response action, we also distribute protective equipment for the medical team. We know that right now, some of the hospitals reported that they face this shortage of medical equipment. So we also help it, and we deliver food box and also the family logistic package like rice, vegetable oil, sugar, tea, vitamin, and hand sanitizer to the poor and those who are affected during the crisis. And how about in Kedah or in Malaysia, Tuan Faiz?
As I told earlier, when the MCO has been announced by our government, the impact is actually quite huge. I think Malaysia is also quite similar with Indonesia, which 90% of our employees are working from home and only 10% are allowed to go to the office. And maybe I am one of that 10%. So in Malaysia, the companies which are not categorized as essential service, as I told earlier, by the government, has to be closed. So the shopping complex is closed, the hotel is closed, even the public transport is majorly closed due to this MCO. So we have nothing to worry for government servant, where their monthly salary has been guaranteed by the government, regardless of this MCO or not. But what should we be worried is about those who are in private sector. So most of the private sector, when this MCO have been extended for a long time, they start to think whether their business can be sustained anymore, whether their employees should be forced to take the unpaid leave. And in most unfortunate situation, some of the employees have been dismissed by the reason of this pandemic. So in Malaysia, when we see this situation, what we think is, if they have no income to live due to this pandemic, and they cannot find another job within this period, how would their family life? How would they find their foods? So the priority that we see is that there will be many new mustahik because of this pandemic, or we can call it as mustahik COVID, which is those who are not mustahik before the pandemic, they are mustahik during the pandemic, and they may be not mustahik anymore after the pandemic. This is because during the pandemic they have lost their job, they have lost their income. So, for example, like a fried banana seller, he will only earn his income from his sales every day. So if there is sales, he will have the money to eat. If there is not, then it is otherwise. So what we are focusing in Kedah is to make sure that there shall be no people and no household that will be cut off from the basic foods. So in Kedah, we have around 578 MOS throughout the states. So what we do is all of these MOS have been appointed as our food bank distribution center. So this food bank distribution center at almost will be representing each Korea or each village in our states. And this has been established since 2018. So in normal situation, this food bank center will be equipped with 30 sets of basic foods, which one set of food will contain of 8 items such as rice, biscuit, tea, sardines, and others. So that is in normal situation before this pandemic come. But now, as there are many additions of mustahik COVID, which are affected by this pandemic, one of the urgent steps that we have taken is to supply more to this food bank center. Yes, I agree with Mr. Haryo that we have to up to our budget. But in this situation, actually, in Kedah, we actually, for your information, our distribution have been deficit compared to our collection since the earlier stage of the MCO, around 9 million ringgit deficit. Oh. But what we discuss is the more we give, the more we get. The more people see that we give, the more people are actually encouraged to contribute. This is our position in Malaysia. So as there are many editions of Mustahik COVID, we actually have to add more supply to this food bank center. And what we do is we have divided it into 4 stages, where each stages we will supply extra 300 bags of rices, 300 bottles of soy sauce, and 600 tin of sardines for each masjid, each mosque, which means every mosque will be totaling up to 520,000 families will get the benefits around like that. So this very initiative actually cost around 19 million ringgit, or in dollar, $4.3 million. So we actually have 2 objectives from establishing this food bank center. First is to make sure that there is no citizens are cut off from the basic foods, are not going hungry. The second objective is to make the most as a one-stop center, like what have been in Islamic revolution previously. Most have been the one-stop center for people in the Korea to get their help, to help their assistance. Because most of the time we heard that the asnaf, the mustahik are going to church in order to get the assistance. The mustahik are going to Buddhist temple in order to get some foods. So this is what we do. We make the most as our food bank center. Another thing, if I may highlight, we also had actively assist the frontliners of our country in combating this pandemic. For example, last few weeks, we have contributed some ventilators, machines, the thermal scanners, the tents, and so on to assist the hospital. Even asnaf or mustahik who works at our tailoring skill center have been urged to tailor the personal protective equipment, the PPE clothes for our frontliners in hospital. So that is in Kedah. So for the whole Malaysia, if you combine the zakat allocation in all states in Malaysia for one country, the cost that we have allocated for combating this COVID-19 is actually more than 100 million ringgit from zakat fund in Malaysia. So that's the situation in Malaysia. Thank you.
Wow, that's also a great number that you also delivered to the community. That I also agree. I do agree that you said earlier that the number of poor people right now is rising due to the pandemic, because the middle income, maybe they also get worse the economic conditions, so they are not considered as poor, maybe because they lost their job. And also, like you said, zakat institutions in Kedah or in Malaysia also do some programs, right, to cope this problem, and also to help the government to also deliver the aids to the poor. So in related to zakat campaign, as part of our obligation right now, how Lembaga Zakat Negeri Kedah handle it. Like if you also have like a digital channel, or you also make, because you said earlier,
Yeah.
right now you had a deficit for the zakat distribution, right?
Yeah.
So it means that you need more people to donate or to pay zakat in order to help these people. So how do you manage your zakat campaign?
So thank you, Miss Elvira. As we discussed before, accept it or not, actually when this pandemic happened, everyone and every institution have to think outside of the box. For example, the important meeting that we have never imagined to be made online, now all of them were forced to be made online. So there is one of good impact that we should have been that we should have taken in positive way, especially during this period of IR 4.0 and so on. So in Malaysia, all of our zakat campaigns are now focusing in digital way. For example, to brace the impact and to open the opportunity for the public to also assist us in supplying the food to the food bank center, like I told earlier, we have established an online crowdfunding system, namely as Asnaf Care. And those who are willing to contribute, they can do that only through the website of asnafcare.com.my. And this system, for your information, have been developed by our youth, our young staff at LZNK within a week. During this pandemic happened, we developed this system within a week. And so the campaign also have been actively made through live streaming in our Facebook page every night, discussing on various issues with various renowned individuals. And if you realize, last week we also have the session with Dr. Irfan, discussing on the actions that were taken by BAZNAS in combating this pandemic. And another thing I would like to touch on is, for example, like Ms. Elvira said about the seminar have been postponed. Actually, we also have one seminar, namely as National Islamic Finance Seminar. We also earlier have postponed this seminar, but now during the meeting, we actually want to take a brave step to make this seminar online. So why can we do it online? So inshallah, our 2020 National Islamic Finance Seminar will be made online, and the keynotes will be held online. The presentation will be made online, and even the certificate will be given online. So this seminar, inshallah, will be held this 27th of April, involving more than 50 papers that will be presented, inshallah. So these are some of the urgent initiatives that have been taken by a majority of zakat organization in Malaysia. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's also interesting to hold a big seminar online. I'm just interested to know how will the presenter present their own paper online. Well, actually, in BAZNAS, we also pull out the outdoor campaign, like what also Mas Haryo said before, that we also pull out the outdoor campaign materials and we move it to digital channel. Such as website, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, even LinkedIn. And we also work with other journalists to communicate this campaign through their own media. Uh, Also, we in digital channel we have a crowdfunding platform and e-commerce platforms that we collaborate with the corporation who have the facility to raise donations, and also we have the chatbot that will help the muzaki or munfik to pay their zakat or the infak to donate for this campaign. Like for example, the chatbot itself, we develop it in a line online account. You might find at BAZNAS Indonesia online application, because we already aware that the digital consumption during the work from home activities was raised significantly. So we use it as an opportunity to optimize our zakat digital channel. And actually, the content of itself is varied from awareness of COVID and how to calculate our zakat and to direct message, especially in payday period where people actually get the money, and also they have to pay the zakat. So we deliver the message, especially mostly right now from bank transfer, because usually more people, more muzaki pay zakat through cash or directly to our counter, but now they prefer bank transfer or maybe online payment or just scan the QR code through fintech platforms that we have, especially after the period. Moreover, we also organized a charity concert. Actually, last week we organized a charity concert with one of the most popular singer, Raisa, if you know. And we also right now we are going to do it every week with other artists. I'm also interested to know in Dompet Dhuafa, what are Dompet Dhuafa doing during the Zakat digital campaign here right now, Mas Haryo?
Yeah, and I think that I think this is a good time, to campaign because some of like Zakat organization or non-profit organization, they are worried about the economic recession because the economic recession can make their fundraising is get like less funding from the public campaign. But I think that the spirit that we need to spread to the public is, we need to build the sense of, what you call that, the sense of, togetherness. We need to build like solidarity in the communities or in the public, because right now you see like your neighbor infected by the viruses, your coworkers are dying maybe, or some of your relatives is affected by the virus, and also maybe some of your neighbors are laid off from the jobs, right? And I think that because people feel that and see that and witness the impact of the COVID within their daily life, I think this is a good time to campaign and to make the solidarity among the people in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in other countries. And I think that content, that content need to be spreaded by our, communication channels, through our social media, through our, advertising. Maybe you have a billboard, like a billboard that campaign about the solidarity. I think that if we campaign about the solidarity, that will be a great tools to do fundraising, because we do the CR, especially we are approaching the month of Ramadan. I think that Ramadan is a month of solidarity. But this Ramadan will be different because we need to stay at our home, so we cannot go to the masjid or to the musola to perform like a tarawih. We cannot do like the community dinner. We cannot visit our parents, our relatives, in the kampung or in the village during the Idul Fitr or during the Hari Raya, right? Because we cannot do that. So I think that we need to replace, I think, the sense of togetherness online. So how your campaign can connect these people to the solidarity. And I think that if you promote, togetherness through the online campaign, I think that would be a great campaign. And also, as Sister Hafiza said that, right now we need to move, from like face-to-face payment or wire transfer to more digital, And I think that not every organization have the privilege to have their own online platform. And I think that maybe in Malaysia, you have like your, public fundraising platform, such as like Launch Good, or maybe Kita Bisa in Indonesia, or maybe BAZNAS have their own platform, Dompet Dhuafa have their own platform, or other organization. I think that like small organization, especially small Zakat or non-profit organization, they can try to use like the existing platform, but you need to negotiate, some of the cost because I think that you need to share, some of the operation costs to the platform. But I think that's better because if you build your own platform, that will cost more maybe. So I think, and also you need to approach your donors through online. So maybe if you have through email, through WhatsApp, through calling, like maybe you have like the customer care person that always call your donor to maintain the relationship between you and the donors during this pandemic. And I think that maybe some of our donors affected by the pandemic as well. Maybe they are get like laid off. So how you can support them too, because they already support you in the past. So right now they become your mustahik, not your muzaki anymore. So how you deal with that as well? So yeah, like the mustahik because of COVID, mustahik COVID or asnaf COVID, because they are affected by the COVID, and or maybe one of their family member who the breadwinner who work died. So maybe the rest of the family needs support as well. So I think if you open your donor database, so you will find some of them like need help too. So I think that you need to deal with what you have right now, and I think that this is the moment of the solidarity. So I think that if you campaign that through the right channel, the right way, inshallah, your organization will survive, and also you can help like a lot of people at the same time.
Yes, I absolutely agree, Mas Haryo, for your statement. That's so powerful. So now during the Zakat campaign, like also you said about Muzaki, who was Muzaki, and right now they are Mustahik, maybe the Mustahik COVID-19. They were your Muzaki, but now they are the Mustahik of your organization. Now we have to help them because previously they have paid the zakat, and now we have to like be responsible as well to also help them. But we know that there are limitations of zakat institutions to also deliver the aids, also to manage the fund itself, also due to a big number of mustahik right now that need help. So I think we also need a very good priority for helping those who are very urgent in, and also the most needed people, or the most affected people. And also we hope that we also can do the shiar to many people, because actually this is not only the role of zakat institution, right? Because this is a humanitarian issue, so we need more communities, also the people or in Indonesia or in Malaysia also to help each other. That's so clear. And right now, I will go to another question before I will deliver the questions from the chat box on YouTube. I saw that there are some questions here. But the last, within the digital acceleration, as the impact of COVID-19 that Mas Haryo and Tuan Faiz said before, in your perspective, what do you think about youth zakat activists should do right now during the pandemic and during also the zakat campaign, because we are now starting to face Ramadan? Start from Mas Haryo, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's better for the youth zakat activists like Bang Faiz says that like the youth zakat activists like Bang Faiz is one of the 10%. So I think that the role of youth is should become like at the front side. So I think that because the community needs us, and I think that stay home is good, but but if you can, and if your organization need, and they call you, so you have to go. even that you are worried about yourself. But if you follow the protocols, you follow everything that the organization like decided to save its employees, I think you need to go. That's the first one. And I think the second one is because we are the agent of change, I think that you have to see like the people around your neighborhood as well. So maybe you can go like for your organization, but you should never forget the people around you, your family, your neighbors, your relatives. So if they need support, so you have to give that support to the people that closer to you. And I think that they become the first people that need you in this situation as well. And I think that because the third one is because right now, like the young people, they are like internet savvy or digital savvy. So I think that you can use like your own social media, your own network to do the things that needed. You can use your social media as a campaign tools, right? So if your organization have like some materials, like campaign materials or content, so maybe you can try to spread the content as well to your Facebook, to your Instagram account, or to your WhatsApp, or to your email. Everything that you can do to spread the news of the solidarity. And I think that that's very important. I think that's all that the youth activists need to do. And also the fourth one is you need to see like the ecosystem. So you need to see like this the healthcare system in your country. So if you can see like the weakness of the healthcare system in the country, try to contribute to support that weak part. So let's say right now in Indonesia, we are short of the protective equipment for the doctor, nurses, and other medical workers. And I think that a lot of Zakat organization, they see that weakness and they try to support some sewers to make the protective equipment, to make maskers, face maskers, and also to make other things that that the healthcare system need to be supported by the organization or by you. And I think that's all.
Thank you, Mas Haryo. How about in Kedah, Brother Faiz?
Thank you. As we can see, Generation Y, and nowadays we call it as Generation Z or Generation Z. These are the best generation actually that we can put our confidence to have full capacity in handling the digital matters. So this is the youth zakat that we are talking about. If this task of digital acceleration is given to the older generation, for example, that particular of zakat institution, I believe, will have lower chance in leading the digital transformation in that institution. So here comes the role of youth zakat activists. I personally believe that the youth zakat activists shall be given more opportunity to show their talents and creativity, because the world nowadays are not as we always imagine anymore. I like to quote, if I may, my CEO used to say, if previously the children has been taught that ABCD is like A for apple, B is for ball, C is for cat, and D is for donkey, the world nowadays has changed. It is not strange anymore if the kids now know ABCD differently as us what we have learned during our kids. They now learn that A is for artificial intelligence, B is for biometric, C is for cloud, and D is for data. This is Generation Z that we are talking right now. So this is one of the real illustration that we may have in describing the world nowadays. So we never think that, for example, the smartphone now can be switched on merely by looking at the phone. If you look at the phone will be unlocked. We never think that now, if we want to go to somewhere, we can just call a transport merely by touching the screen of our phone. And the driver will come to fetch us at our exact location and send us to our exact destination without having to, for us to give any information to him, only by touching our phone, our device. So this is, accept it or not, we have to accept that this is the world that we are living right now. So we cannot be like the famous company Nokia, if you know, the leading, who was once leading mobile company in the world, but due to its ignorance of technology development, the Nokia have been left far behind the new company, which have been adapted, which have been brave enough to take the challenge and go very well with the digital world of technology. So this is the role of youth Zakat activists that I said. They should assist their institution to be more inclusive with the technology and not run from it. Like what we have done today, a webinar between the youth. This I can say is one of the good effort by WZF in encouraging the youth to participate in every WZF activities by using the technology. So that is my personal opinion.
All right, that's so impressive. Well, actually, I'm impressed by the alphabet that your CEO told you about. Maybe we have to mention it again at the end, so everyone can also learn it. From A, artificial intelligence, right? And B, C, D. So I also need to learn that. Now, we are going to have a question and answer session because I saw some questions here. Maybe I'll go through the chat box on YouTube channel. First, the question from Farid Setian. The question is, do zakat? What zakat institution do to help migrant workers who are also affected by COVID impacts in Malaysia or maybe in other countries? You have any information about the program that you run for migrant workers there?
In Malaysia?
Yes.
Actually, for migrant workers in Malaysia, like I said just now, in Kedah, like what we have been initiated the food bank center. The food bank center is actually will be given to everyone who have been cut off from their food, regardless of they are migrants or not, regardless of they are actually having a big car or not, they have a huge house or not. As long as they are being cut off from their basic foods and they have no other savings to buy the foods, they are entitled to get the assistance from the most. Meanwhile, for the monetary assistance, for example, I think in Kedah we are not yet discussing on that, but we are actually giving priority to those who are not having food in Kedah. So maybe in Indonesia you have several other solutions for these migrants that you can share with us.
Yeah, maybe Mas Haryo would like to add some information or maybe ideas regarding the migrant workers. I think Dompet Dhuafa also have a program for advocacy program, right?
Yes. So yeah, because a lot of migrant workers is coming back right now because this is because we are like reaching the incoming Ramadan month. So a lot of migrant workers are coming back from Malaysia, from Singapore, from Hong Kong, maybe. So I think that in Dhuafa, we have like a program, like advocacy program, but we together with the community. So we have like the migrant workers family association. So because a lot of Indonesian migrant workers like working overseas, but nobody is like accompany their families in Indonesia. And I think that we create like a vehicle for them named Keluarga Migran Indonesia or KAMI, or like Indonesian Migrant Workers Family Association. So this keluarga migran Indonesia have worked with the migrant families in some areas in Indonesia, and I think that right now they help Dompet Dhuafa as well. So I think that they do support Dompet Dhuafa to spray disinfectants in masajids, in some public spaces, and also they support their migrant workers members and families who are affected by the disease as well, if they got an impact, maybe laid off from the job or etc. And also they help us to distribute some protective equipment in their villages, maybe in the community health center or puskesmas, or maybe in the local hospitals. And I think that the migrant workers are become volunteers to screen their own community, their own family members, and also support us as a volunteer to.
Do you face like a significant trend, like increasing or decreasing in terms of zakat collection, the number of zakat collection, especially for Kedah? You say that you you had a deficit amount of money for the distribution, but now how about the trend of zakat collection itself in every institution? And if you think that right now is raising, so what are the factors? I mean, that what are the campaigns that maybe people like to donate? So it will contribute to the zakat collection in your institution. Maybe starting from Brother Faiz.
As I said earlier, during the earlier stage, we have been deficit for around 9 million ringgit. But now, as up to today, the collection have been surpassed the distribution up to 11 million. But we cannot say that this is an increasing trend, because it might be that the companies in Malaysia have paid their zakat earlier than as usual. For example, like some of the companies usually wait at the end of the year in order to pay zakat. So now when this crisis happened, they actually have they make the zakat. They pay the zakat earlier than usual. So we have to wait until the end of the year to know whether it is actually an increasing trend or not. But actually, 11 million surpasses of collection compared to distribution is actually a very huge increment for us. So there is also one question from Ali Kamani that said that having this zakat deficit at the earlier stage, how zakat institution in Kedah raise money? Actually, this is why we should take the wisdom of Yusuf alayhi salam, where he advised, if we look into his story, he advised the Egyptian government to save up to 7 years before another 7 years of disasters come. So the same thing we should apply to our zakat institution. Maybe not up to 7 years of savings, perhaps only 1 to 2 years of saving. But this is the new ijtihad that we should open our mind to accept that in order to brace the impact of the crisis like what we are facing right now, the wisdom of Yusuf alayhi salam to save up the money is actually a very reasonable method that we should apply in our institution. Maybe there are some that are not agreeable with this statement, because in some mazhabs, they say that zakat fund that have been collected that year should be distributed, the whole zakat should be distributed that year as well. So they cannot save zakat fund. But I think this crisis, this pandemic has teach us to open up our mind to the new ijtihad, to the new opinion, so that we can brace the impact in case this crisis still happening in the future, inshallah.
Yeah, and about Mas Haryo in Dompet Dhuafa's perspective.
Oh yes. Yeah, because Dompet Dhuafa is not only like Lembaga Zakat or like the Zakat organization. So I think that we are from the COVID campaign itself, we raised like more than 13 million. I'm sorry, 13 billion rupiahs. And I think that I think our expenses, our distribution is almost the same with that 13 billion rupiahs. And we see like a lot of a lot of people want to support. I have like one donors in Dompet Dhuafa. Like he said that I donate all like the stuff in my store. So like all the stuff in the store are donated to Dompet Dhuafa. And when we came to the store, it like we robbed the store because we take everything from because like the store is like the hijab store, like the Muslimah fashion store. So I think that we took all of the stuff from the store. It's like rob the store. And I think that a lot of our donors is like that. So if they want to support the program because of the solidarity, and like they will donate a lot. And I think that we don't have to worry about that, because in our experience as organization, like during the Asia economic crisis in 1998, and I think that because that time, like the economy is very slow and very low, and people think that impossible to survive in the 1998 crisis. But the fact is, in the term of fundraising, like Dompet Dhuafa's fundraising are higher, and I think that higher than the year before. And I think that that's a proof. In the time of crisis, if you can stimulate like the solidarity of the people, so I think that you will get more. So don't worry about that, because Allah will help people who help his religion, right? Who help other people. So inshallah, Allah will help us with with the things that maybe we don't know. So I think that Brother Faiz or Bang Faiz said, the wonderful things that you start with deficit, but you believe in Allah, and you do your best, and inshallah, like the support will come, with some amazing things that we never expect. And I think that's a good lesson from Lembaga Zakat Kedah, and also from the Dhuafa, and maybe BAZNAS as well, inshallah.
Yeah, actually, almost the same with what happened here in Indonesia. I think for almost all zakat institutions, but now we are struggling not only for maintaining the zakat payment or the zakat services for the muzaki, but also for the mustahik itself. And also, we remembered that sadaqah will prevent us from disaster, right? So maybe that's why also people would like to donate, although they are in crisis, but they still want to donate because they trust to the condition that every sadaqah, every rupiah, or every dollar or maybe ringgit they pay, it will really help other people, and it will inshallah prevent them from disaster, inshallah. Okay, right now because we have time limitation, so I think I'm gonna ask for conclusion or message from every speaker as the youth Amil in order to campaign zakat during this pandemic. As we also will start Ramadan within 4 days, inshallah. Friday or Thursday we will start, and maybe from Tuan Faiz or Brother Faiz would like to say a little message for every participants here.
Thank you to all viewers today. So I would like to touch some of Mr. Haryo point just now about believing in Allah, that the more we give, the more we get. Is actually it is actually dealing with the perception of people as well, because when we show that we give more distribution, the trust of the people are in the distribution. We cannot say that zakat is wajib. If you do not pay zakat, you will go to hell. So if we say like that, they will feel that, oh, you just want us to give our money. But what we should what we should show is that if we have the money, what we will do with your money. So this is what we do. We show the distribution more in order to raise the trust from the people to contribute more to us. So that is one of the step that have been we have been taken in Kedah. So as a conclusion, I personally believe that now is the time to change ourselves and equip ourselves with digital transformation. And we should always ready our mind to make a new opinion, new istihad, especially in the fixed zakat, especially in facing the crisis. In positive sides, this pandemic is actually opened a huge opportunity for us to change ourselves. We should realize that the image of zakat institution is also the image of our religion. If we show it properly, the proper our religion will be in the eyes of the people. But if we still presenting the image of orthodox, the old school kind of management, then the effect is not only for our organization, but also to our religion as well. So this is, I think, as a conclusion, it is actually a very good effort from WZF to make this youth webinar, because the youth is the one who will lead the future, and the digital transformation of the zakat institution is actually begin with the youth nowadays. So the youth actually have to cooperate together, to discuss together, to come up with the best solution in order to transform the zakat institution to be the most trusted institution in the world, inshallah.
Inshallah. How about Mas Haryo?
Yes. So I think that we are like in the time of, in our history. I think, like the last pandemic was in 1920, like the Spanish flu pandemic. And right now in our time, in our age, that in our era, so we, we very fortunate got this, the historical events. So I think that, like our children, our grandchildren want to know what we do during this time. And I think that if you work like for a social organization, for a non-profit, for zakat organization or zakat institution, I think you need to show like the contribution of the zakat in fighting this pandemic. And I think you need to give your best in fundraising, in programming, So I think that the term of programming or distribution, I think that, you need to prove that you make a good decision or you have a good method in disbursing the funds of zakat, the funds of donation, like distributing the donation. And also in the term of fundraising, you need to do your best, to deal with the condition like physical distancing, social distancing, how you manage, that those challenges. So, you can get more from public to support the public more. And I think that, I think because you are the youth, like, your nation, our people is, depends on us. So depends on you. So if, you do, something, something usual, so maybe, we cannot get like very maximum result. And I think that it is an honor for us to contribute to the history. And inshallah, we will go together to fight this pandemic and to support our people, inshallah.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Haryo and also Brother Faiz, for the message. Me personally, I think I really hope that Youth Amil can also play a great role in contributing more to Zakat campaign, not only in their field, but also those who are now studying or they are working in IT division or finance division, in every division they can contribute
Inshallah.
virtually to help people, not only the muzaki right now, but also the mustahik, and also to share a good practice that may be successful in every country, because we really hope that we can influence a very good example that we are now facing with the COVID. We can deliver the message and also the program that Zakat will contribute to. Also, we hope that this pandemic will end soon, inshallah. May we face Ramadan with a full, clean heart and also mind, so we can optimize our prayer to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your thoughts and a fruitful discussion this evening, Brother Haryo and Brother Faiz.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you for having us.
Yeah, I really hope that this initiative will afford Zakat Forum for Youth will be continued through another webinar after this. And
Inshallah.
also we will invite more youth Amil to join us. And also for the participants, please contact us through the Instagram at World Zakat Forum 2020. Thank you very much, Brother Haryo, Brother Faiz, and also all the participants for watching this webinar. Hope to see you again on the next webinar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bye. Thank you.